is on Facebook, YouTube, and X. You can get our sound right with our visitor in studio. This is Pauline Muthoni, a financial advisor, trainer, and coach in matters business. Now, right about now, we are live on those sites. You can let us know if you can get our sound right and our picture is looking good. All right, now, Pauline, talking about matters business in the area of budgeting. Why does, what is corporate budgeting?
All right, thank you very much for that. And even before we look at what is corporate budgeting,
yes,
probably we need to remind ourselves what is a budget.
Yes.
And basically what we say, a budget is a tool. It's a tool that enables us to be able to plan our finances. So in the areas of financial management principles, it is very important for whether it's an individual, it's a business, and whether it's for profit or non-profit, wherever kind of an organization and a corporate, you need a budget.
Yes.
Because it creates a roadmap for proper financial planning.
All right.
And it is with it where you say it is a tool that helps us to check on our financial health.
All right.
Where are we as an individual? Where are you as an organization, as an institution? Then it helps us be able to know how are we planning for the budget cycle period. Be it the monthly, be it the quarterly, be it the annual, because there are different types of cycles depending on the scope of the organization, the activities within the business. So there's some big organizations who will do the annual budgets. There are others who will do the quarterly budgets and the monthly budgets.
All right.
But regardless of the size of the business, it is very important to have a budget. So it's a must-have tool.
Right.
For financial planning
Okay.
and proper financial management principles. Now, what is corporate budgeting?
Yes.
Now, when we put now the budget into the element of the corporate, is where we are saying as an organization, as a business, we need to be able to plan for our resources. Where are we going to get our revenues? How are we projecting our revenues from?
Yes.
Different organizations may have different revenue streams. So you're able to pull together and know from our different revenue streams, this is our projection for the year, for the month, for the quarter.
All right.
And then we are able to know how then do we allocate resources for the different expenditures that we are going to run over the budget cycle period. So it helps us in that way. In the planning, we are able to manage our cash flows. We know what is coming in, how are we allocating these resources, how are we spending,
Yes.
do we need probably to adjust, because there is also a key element in the performance evaluation of the budget,
Yes.
so that we check this is what we projected for the period, whether it's the month or the quarter of the year. But again, there are dynamics in the market that have changed in the economy, so we are able again to review that and evaluate that and spend accordingly
All right.
to how the economic status or the business status of the industry is happening. Yes.
All right. Now, thinking about, the tough economic situation that has been in Kenya, and such as this time, there is a ripple effect to in the corporate world. How can a business still remain afloat, even amid such times?
All right. When we are doing the budgeting, and it's very good that we are cognizant of, what is happening, because we have to look at also the internal and external factors
Yes.
when you're doing your budgeting. And looking at, there are some factors that come into the economy that probably a business was not prepared for. There's the issue currently, we are speaking about the issue of taxations and all those kind of things, the interest rates, the dollar rates, everything seems just to be going up. And so how do we adjust as a corporate?
Yes.
When you're doing your budget planning, there's something we call the contingency fund that we put some reserves. Probably not all organizations are able to do that depending on the scale of the business.
Yes.
But it is important to be cognizant of that factor, that it is good to put some cash reserves that will cushion and create a buffer to be able to run and sustain the business even when there are these financial stresses that come in. So during the budget process making, it is critical for the organization to be able to put that aside.
Okay.
It's like what we refer to the emergency fund, even when you're doing your own budget.
Yes.
Planning. However, some of the times you may have those reserves, and probably they are not even enough to meet the shocks that are there, because they might be excessive.
Yes.
You may find in some situations there are some organizations that will look for external funding to come in, be able to fit in the gaps that are there in the budget. But that has to be done in a very wise way, because sometimes if you do excessive borrowing, to be able to meet in or to cater for the budget allocations that are there, or the gaps in the budget,
yes,
and you have not looked at all the metrics and all the factors that may affect again the borrowing, then it may cause some issues, financial issues into your budget.
All right.
So it's good to also keep checking what costs can we cut. We know at this point for most corporates it's end of the year, and
Yes.
we are looking at corporate giftings. We are looking at the annual parties.
Yes,
you know, there's a lot of spending that comes around this time with most of the organizations.
Yeah.
Is there a way maybe we can adjust some of these things? If last year we went to, as an organization, you held your end of year party at Radisson, could we scale that down to maybe a more affordable venue?
Yes.
If we gave our clients this type of gifts that costed us X amount, can we review that?
Yes.
So keep checking also what are the areas that we can be able to cut our costs
All right.
on.
All right.
Yeah, and create provisions for that. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for mentioning such the corporate financing precautions that businesses can take in such a season while budgeting. And I would really wish, because you've touched on the issue of the festive season, and we have companies thinking of, organizations thinking of, the end year parties, thinking of, giving out discounts, offers. Now, how can a business strike a balance between now these and, their income to make sure that they do not overspend? Because sometimes it's said that one has to, use money to get money.
To make money.
Yes.
Yes. You spend money to get money. It's an investment.
Yes.
It is okay to give the discounts, to give the promos, to give the offers and all that.
Yes.
But like we are saying, we also need to create and strike a balance so that we do not bleed financially,
Yes.
even as we try to achieve this. So I think the key question to ask as an organization is, why are we doing this? What is the outcome we are looking at? Are we looking at increasing our customer base? Is it for our customer experience in terms of we want to give offers and the discounts in order to retain the customers that we have? Is it for us to increase in terms of our brand visibility out there? So the key thing is to ask ourselves first, before we do the promos, before we do the discounts and the loyalty programs, then what is the reason behind it? What is the outcome, financial outcome that we are even looking at as a business? So that will drive, it will fuel how then we are able to create the provisions for the budgets.
All right.
Are they necessary? Sometimes yes, they are, because once we give more discounts, then you are able to generate more revenues. But there's a whole process into that again.
Yes.
Sometimes you may find a business that may want to consider, how do we give the bundling kind of program? Say, for example, if you take, for example, in the hotel industry, we look at KFC or the rest of the places. They give offers, like they give a drink, they have food, drink, and something else. It's a bundle. So they're still making more money. Instead of selling one item, they're still giving you the bundle, making more money and gaining more customers into it.
Is it a way to dupe customers? Like, we have enclosed terms and conditions, and you trick someone to come in. Like there is a day I saw an advert somewhere that buy one bread at the price of 2 and get one free.
Not necessarily to dupe the customers,
Yes.
but it is a strategy for you to be able to, make more revenues within these. At this time, people have the urge to spend more.
Yes.
It is at this festive period that people have the propensity to be able to spend more money. So you can still use that as a strategy to be
Right.
able to net in more customers and net in more revenues, but not necessarily to dupe in. I know there's someone who mentioned that some organizations will be checking at the products that are about to expire, and
Yes.
this is a time
They dispose.
they dispose them off. But as long as they are healthy and they're in line with your business objectives, then well and good.
All right. Okay. And talking about, is it good to appreciate, for example, for organizations, is it good for them to appreciate their employees with gift hampers?
Yes, it is. Again, we are saying we are looking at why are we doing this?
Yes.
There are various reasons. We mentioned some of them. And when we think about customers, we are thinking about the internal customer and the external customer. So we've looked at the external customers are our customers who are coming into the business. Internally, our employees are our internal customers. And it is important for us to appreciate their efforts and recognize their efforts over the period.
Yes.
And sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be at the end of the year. Depending on how an organization operates, you can keep appreciating and recognizing these internal customers who are the employees, maybe on a quarterly basis, on a monthly, again, depending on how you do your budget cycles and your budget periods. Yes, it is okay and it is prudent for any organization to appreciate. And when you are doing the employee recognition, again, it is important to be clear because sometimes it brings in a lot of conflicts. Why was Frank awarded and not Pauline?
Yes, yes.
What was considered? Yeah, so again, very clear communication within the organization to be able to know that these are the elements that we are looking at. Again, ties that to the KPIs and saying these are the considerations we have made for us to award employee X, Y, and Z. And we can give everybody a gift in the organization, but maybe recognize and award effort for those who have gone out of their way.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, great. And there is the issue mentioned about borrowing, maybe to try to raise some more money for the budget. And in this season, many organizations, many businesses are tempted to borrow, knowing, after all, we are going to make sales. While doing this decision to borrow, what do they need to consider to make sure that they don't even sink further in debt?
Right. Very important. And one of the things, even before we look at what they need to consider, is to know that debt is not all that bad. It all depends with how you utilize it.
Yes.
So even as you're borrowing, if you're looking at this specific period of the year, so you need also to understand, why are we borrowing? Are we borrowing so that we can buy those corporate gifts? Is it important? Is it necessary?
Yes.
Or are we borrowing in order to be able to introduce a new product or a service into the market? And once we introduce it, we are going to make more sales into it. Or are we looking into getting into a new market? Are we looking to increase our product or our service offerings? Are we borrowing to maybe invest in a capital expenditure and we want to invest in it? Are we borrowing in order to invest in an asset that will help us generate more money into the organization? So it is important to check the metrics as to why we are the reason for the borrowing, so that we can check that against what is our debt, what is our capacity to pay the debt.
Yes.
Do we have the capacity to be able to to service this debt, so that we do not get into the issues of been unable to pay up the debts with time, like we are saying. And maybe we are making projections like maybe in the coming year, we are going to make more sales, or even within the festive period, we are going to make more sales. Again, we need to check onto into data to help us make informed choices, decisions. Because one of the key importance of a budget is also to help us in decision making. And how does it enhance decision making process?
Yes.
Look at the historical data. Look at the patterns and use that data to be able to help us. What are the trends? What are the market trends? What are the budgetary trends that we have had? And how have you been able to effectively use that money within that period? So is it the right time for us to borrow? And then there are other things we need to consider. Where are we borrowing? If it is to the banks, to which lenders, what are the interest rates around that? Are we able to pay that? Is it a debt that we can be able to finance accordingly, or is it also maybe a lender that we can be able to negotiate? There are some lenders you can be able to negotiate with, so that we are able to get favorable repayment period. What is the debt period? Again, the period also matters. So key analysis needs to go into that before we even go for the debt.
All right.
Yes.
You just hold it right there. And just for information, if you're joining us right now, we are having Pauline Muthoni in studio. Is a financial advisor, coach, and trainer who's helping us to understand much more about corporate budgeting. If you've got any question about the conversation or got any thoughts, you can share with us on 0717 400 555. That is on WhatsApp, 20933 on SMS. You can as well reach us on our digital platforms at Hope FM Live, where we are live. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. Stay with us.
The Corporate Hub on Activate. Your catalyst for economic growth.
We're having Pauline Muthoni in studio helping us to, understand these conversations, helping us to unpack it. And I believe if from our digital platforms, you can follow through the conversation live. You can share your thoughts, your questions with us on 0717 400 555. That is on WhatsApp, 20933. On SMS, you can as well reach us on our digital platforms at Hope FM Live. All right, Pauline, just to get back on the conversation once again, there is someone who's saying they've got into date in order to motivate the staff. And the question is, this is Kevin Juma asking, what can they do to come out of this debt? Because they see they took a debt,
Yes.
motivated the staff, they have nothing to show for it,
All right.
they're not having good sales.
All right.
What can they do to recover from this debt?
All right. That's a very good question to our listener, Kevin. And probably the key thing for us to understand is that even before we take the debt to motivate the staff, we need to have a conversation with the staff. When we were looking at how we do the budget planning, different ways of doing budget.
Yes.
And one of the ways that some organizations do is what we call the bottom-up approach. And by
Yes.
this, we mean that we involve the staff members in the budget-making process. And the importance of having the engagement of the staff in this is that so that they are able to own the ownership of their budgets. They know that these are the resources that are required for the activities that we are doing, and as an organization, as a unit, as a department.
Yes.
So having them in that budget process will help this investor or this business person in terms of making the employees understand where is this money coming from.
All right.
What is the purpose and the use of it? What are the activities we need to do, whether in terms of offering our services or sales of our goods, if it's in the product line, so that we are able to meet our budget. So key thing is we need to have a conversation.
Yes.
For this specific situation, we need to have a conversation. Train your employees to understand the importance of the budget making process.
Yes.
So even as you're taking this budget to be able to motivate them, you are all aligned and you are all aligned towards the strategic objective of the business.
All right.
Because if you're not aligned with your employees, you're not aligned with your strategic objectives of the business,
Yes.
then it may not serve the objective and the goals of the business. And probably that is why this business owner is experiencing some of these issues, because the employees do not understand the process. They have not understood the importance of the budget and working towards achieving what is in the budget allocation and the provisions therein.
All right. This
Yes.
to say that if the organization cannot meet the budget to motivate employees need to understand we have no money. Right?
Very interesting question, and I have heard that a lot in the organizations, that we need to do this activity maybe for their customers, and you now go to the finance department or you go to the relevant authorities within the organization,
Yes.
and you're told there's no budget for it.
All right.
Yes. It is not that they need to understand. We go back to where did we begin with the process?
Yes.
Were they involved? Which approach are you using? What model are you using? Are you using the top up or the bottom up? The top up is where the management or the business owner is the one who comes up with the budget.
Yes.
And then it trickles down to the employees.
All right.
So if there's a gap there and you're not able to understand that for you to be able to meet this expense for your related activities for your unit, that there's no money for it.
All
There's no
right.
provision for it. But when you do it together with the employees, then they'll be able to work towards achieving that. And sometimes you'll ask, business owners will ask, what is the ROI into this activity that you want?
Yes.
What is my return of investment into this activity? So you need to show value.
All
What
right.
is the value that you're bringing in as an employee to the organization? Value could be in terms of finances. You're
Yes.
showing that you are able to bring in X amount of value in terms of money. Sometimes it could be even in terms of you being able to cut costs. So you're able to show the value that you have brought in. May not be necessarily in terms of what you can see clearly as the numbers, but probably you've been able to reduce cost on some areas, and that has saved the organization in terms of the budget allocations into those specific activities for it.
All right.
Yes.
Now, talking about, there is one more question here. This is from David, who's in Kikuyu town. He says, unable to handle finances. Ask the expert to share more information on how to handle finances, because he feels the money they have, when money comes in, it goes almost everywhere. There's no a specific area they've focused to use the money on. When the money comes, it is used like it comes.
All right. I think there's a lot more into that,
Yes.
into that question, David, that has asked. But it is important also for the business or this specific business owner to go back to the basics. How are they doing their bookkeeping? How are they doing their record keeping?
Yes.
Because you see, one of the other reasons why we need to have a budget is for us to enable us to track, track our performance, track where our money is going, keep monitoring and evaluating where our monies are going. So if there's no tool that will help support the business in this tracking performance and tracking the expenses, where the money is coming in and where it's going to, then there will be that challenge that he is experiencing.
All right.
Then look at the goals. What are the business goals? Does the organization have short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals? And then map that into how they are doing their spending, how they are doing their projections for their revenues. And with that, they will be able to see where are the leaks. We say that small leaks can sink even the greatest ship.
All right.
Yeah, so we need also to check those leaks, where are they at, and we are able to, to seal in the leaks so that we stop sinking the business further. And then we can do corrective measures.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. There is Werimo from Riru, who I think you are going to answer this question together with this one. If there are any tools or information kits to help organizations start their budgeting journey, because she's asking, please advise on the best budgeting tool for non-profits or NGOs. If you can combine the two, if we've got any tools or information kits one can, use while they start their budgeting journey.
All right. Yes. There are tools that are available in the market. And there's one very basic tool, which is using an Excel spreadsheet. Excel is a very powerful software that you can use. There are a lot of things that you can be able to do just with an Excel spreadsheet.
All right.
So if Werimo and the other person and the other businesses are not able to invest in apps, or they are not able to invest in other, softwares, financial softwares to be able to help them in the budgeting process, then they can use an Excel sheet to be able to do that. But yes, they are there. There are free tools also, apps that you can be able to download.
Yes.
And from the Play Store, some you pay for them, others are still free. But as a beginning point, you can go to the basics and start with that.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
A bit of training again on how to use these. I know, like for use of the Excel, they have different functions. The Excel itself has different functions for different users.
Yes.
So invest also in learning how to effectively and efficiently be able to use the tool so that it becomes beneficial to the business owner. Yes.
Okay. As we come to the end of the year, what needs to be considered most by organizations before starting or beginning a new year?
All right, very important for us to engage with that as we come to an end of the year. We need to review, and again, when we are thinking about budgets, end of the year may mean different things to different organizations. There are those organizations that end the year in June. There are those that end the year now at this particular quarter of the year. So different seasons, different budget cycles. But regardless of it, they are the fundamentals that we have to look at. First, we need to have a review. How have we performed the actuals versus what we had already projected at the beginning of the year? Where are we in terms of that? Is there any budget variance into that? And why that is important is for us to be able to apply the budget control measures.
Yes.
Because if we realize that we overspent or we underspent, then we are able to see what cost that. So key thing is evaluate and see the budget that you are working with within that budget period. Then you can also look at the cash flow management process. Do we have any payments that are outstanding you need to pay as a business? Or do you also have payments that are out there that you need to collect before you close in for the budget of the year? Then you now look at the projections for the coming year.
Right.
So you have tracked, you have evaluated, you have monitored and seen, you have used the historical data over the period to be able to check where you are at in terms of the budgeting process. You have looked at the control measures. Then let's look at what are the projections that we have for the coming year and look at that and that could change. The projections could change because of what we had spoken earlier on of the external factors. Could be the economic happenings, could be the market has changed,
the floods,
the floods, the natural disasters have happened. Could be even change in customer needs. Customer needs are evolving every now and then.
Right.
Probably how they were doing business last year is not the same way they are doing now. We know that the customer has become very enlightened and very aware of what they need. So maybe we need again to invest in technology. We need to invest in the e-commerce space. There are all those metrics that we need to check out even as we are making the provisions for the next year.
All right.
And we may need also to check, are there areas that we need to cut budget or increase budget on?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. I can see our time is pretty much well spent, and I can see we have 30 seconds to go. I don't know what you can say in 10 seconds, what you can say generally about our conversation this morning.
All right. In 10 seconds, but key thing is for us to understand that if you do not control your money, if you don't know where your money is going, the money will control you. So the budget is a very important tool to help you be able to control where your money is going, when your money comes in, where it's going, so that it doesn't become the other way around. You become the slave of the money.
All right.
If you don't know your journey, you'll be flying blind.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a better place to leave it at. Thank you so much, Pauline Muthoni, for creating time to be with us this morning on Corporate Hub. May God bless you. Looking forward to engaging more in future.
Thank you very much for having me, and God bless you.
Amen. All right, that was Corporate Hub. And if you didn't catch our declaration, we did from the book of Psalms 32:8. You can read it for yourself. I wish you a fruitful day. May God keep you. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye-bye.